Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to make sure that everyone understands that this is not a top 10 anime of all time video, and this is not a power scaling video. I'm only talking about my top 10 anime protagonists of all time. So let's get right into it. At number 10, I went with Asta from Black Clover. Asta has this ability to make people in Black Clover really just want to root and support him no matter what. And there's two qualities that stand out to me that makes Asta a top 10 protagonist of all time. First one would be the fact that his rivalry with Yuno is something beautiful to watch, right? We've seen tons of rivalries in shonen anime. We've seen Goku and Vegeta, we've seen Naruto and Sasuke, but when it comes to Asta and Yuno, this is the one that's done right. Listen, Yuno had all the hype built up around him. He got the 4-leaf grimoire. Everybody loves him. Everyone reveres him. He gets appointed to the Golden Dawn's top ranks. Everyone supports Yuno, and everyone is sleeping on Asta. Asta ends up going to the Black Bulls. People are laughing at him, saying he has no magic. This is the perfect recipe for jealousy. This is the perfect recipe for Asta to start resenting Yuno, start resenting his brother. But yet, Asta doesn't do that. He actually uses this to fuel him, and it actually makes the relationship that much stronger and closer. And they have a very healthy rivalry that's extremely fun to watch, and they don't let it get in the way of their friendship. They don't let it get in the way of the fact that they are brothers. The next point I want to bring up is that Asta, not only does he ascend, but as Asta ascends, so do the Black Bulls. Remember, when we talk about the Black Bulls, nobody in Clover Kingdom wanted to be associated with the Black Bulls if you wanted to be a Magic Knight. They were the laughing stock. Everyone was sleeping on the Black Bulls. But the moment Asta steps foot in the Black Bulls, the entire culture changed. You're talking about people like Vanessa that was just caught drinking, not really going all out. Now Vanessa's one of the top Magic Knights that we need to look out for in Black Clover. You're talking about Gray, not even wanting to show who she really looks like. Now she's showing herself, she's showing her true form. People like Magna want to go all the way out. They want to compete to be the best. Not only does Yami now even look even better as a Magic Knight captain, but the Black Bulls, their stock has gone so high up that when we talk about them, we can also mention Golden Dawn in the same breath. Listen, the Golden Dawn was the most prestigious Magic Knight squad there was in Clover Kingdom. Now that the Black Bulls have Asta, everything's changed. I'm telling you right now, everyone speaks on Asta having arcane magic. All the top Magic Knight captains always have to call on Asta's name because they know how valuable he is. When Xenon pulled up on the Golden Dawn, look what happened. We can't find vengeance. Half the squad died and things like that, but Dante got dealt with. Dante got dealt with. So let's go ahead and get straight into number 9. Naruto Uzumaki of Konoha Village. The village was always treating Naruto horribly in his earlier days. He had rivals like Sasuke and Neji, and he had to prove himself against everybody that was more skilled and more gifted than he was, whether they were born with crazier abilities or whatever the case may be. Naruto had to learn how to coexist with Kurama, his tail beast. So we've seen the struggles and we've seen Naruto overcome them. But the things that make Naruto a top 10 protagonist for me is that not only did Naruto say what he was going to do and then actually accomplish what he was going to do, but he accomplished with flying colors. He said that he was going to be the Hokage. But him saying that he was going to be the Hokage, we did not know whether or not he was going to be the strongest Hokage of all time. I mean, that was something that was like, wait, what? But that's what Naruto was able to accomplish. But there's something that separates him from even all of the other Hokage, even his father. And this is the fact that Naruto not only sets out to defeat his enemies, but he actually tries to reason with them and figure out why the villains are actually thinking the way they think and why these villains are doing the things they do. And he actually tries to change their mindset. That's different than anybody right now. I know it's popular in the anime community to make fun of it, talk no jutsu and things like that. But when we really boil it down, to be able to change a villain's mindset is crazy. And we've seen this action when Naruto got to have a heart-to-heart with Nagato, and they found out that they were both mentored by Jiraiya, and they had some similarities there. One just chose a darker path, and the one chose a lighter path, and they had that kind of duality. But Naruto would not have known that if he was just going for blood. So the fact that Naruto has this characteristic where he's able to talk people out of things, he's able to talk Sasuke, who we thought would never come around, into wanting to be helpful in the village in Boruto. Naruto's ability to change the way villains think makes him a top 10 protagonist to me. Coming in at number 8, I went with Kakarot, Son Goku the boy. I know a lot of you guys are probably saying, Rob, you're just saying Goku because of nostalgia. And I would say you're damn right. Is there a problem? Is there an issue with me going with Goku because of nostalgia? Well, let me tell you that not only has Goku inspired so many shonen protagonists that have come after him, but Goku is actually a very well-written character. He gets slept on a lot, but I'm here to put some respect on Goku's name. Goku is the Superman for the anime verse. He is that guy. And for him to go from fighting Frieza on planet Namek to now having Frieza fight for him in the Tournament of Power, that's growth. Goku has been an inspiration for so many people out there because he's always breaking his limits. No matter how powerful we think Goku is, we know that there's always going to be a new ceiling that Goku can reach. And him doing that makes Vegeta want to be more powerful. At number 7, let's talk about Yusuke Urameshi from Yu Yu Hakusho. Yusuke has a very rough attitude at first. He doesn't care about schoolwork and what all the other people are really caring about. He just wants to do his own thing, and he was labeled a delinquent because of it. But this never stopped Yusuke, because Yusuke knew that he was just different from everybody else, and he did not care who you were and what you thought about him. He always was just going to go with how he felt. And even though this was looked at initially as a negative trait of Yusuke's, we come to find out that this is what makes Yusuke great. There's things that he was afraid of. He was afraid of becoming a spirit detective. He really didn't want to be stuck in class all day. These are things that make Yusuke's character so impactful in anime, because him going through his obstacles made him even stronger than before. It just made everybody around him want to increase their power level as well. His stubbornness was turned into a positive. His real human emotions, his flaws, are what made him perfect. At number 6, I actually went with Lelouch v Britannia from Code Geass. And this one was crazy because I actually wanted to put Lelouch higher, but this is how potent my list is. Upon receiving the Geass power from C2, anybody getting that power could have went the wrong way. The Geass power giving you the power to control somebody by giving them a command. I mean, think about the kind of evil you can do with that. Lelouch decided to use that power to overthrow Britannia, which is not only an evil empire that's trying to get rid of Area 11 and all the Japanese that were in there, but it actually was his father and his whole family running the operation. Only Lelouch and Nunnally were casted away from that because they did not agree with what was going on. But again, none of that mattered. Lelouch decided to become the unsung hero, change his name to Zero, recruit the Black Knights, and now he's going up against the entire Britannia Empire, who actually happens to have Suzaku, who is his childhood friend, locked in to fight against him. And the fact that he was able to accomplish that by sacrificing himself in order to make the world come together is different. At number 5, let's talk about Ishigami Senku from Dr. Stone. After Senku was able to use the miracle water and get out of his petrification, he realized that the world had changed around him. And with this power, he could have joined up with Tsukasa and destroyed all of the people that had evil pasts before they were petrified. He wasn't even interested in that at all. What actually interested Senku was the challenge of bringing back and restoring the world. But not only that, he wanted to make sure that everyone understood how important science really is to everything. And this is what makes Senku so great, is that Senku will always go the extra mile to make sure that people really understand his passions and why science is important. And upon them understanding the importance of science, they're gonna want to support him in saving the world. Senku makes this known since day one. There's not anybody that Senku has on his squad that he's forced to be there. Everybody that's part of the village, he had to make sure he encapsulated their hearts. He had to make sure that they understood why it was important for them to really buy into what the Kingdom of Science can be. And Senku's greatest quality above all is demonstrated in the fight against Tsukasa, because almost everybody that was working for the Kingdom of Might had second thoughts. They were thinking about, well, maybe should I join Senku? I mean, it's looking lit over there. And that's because Senku has built a culture that people cannot really escape from, because everybody that was petrified obviously was coming from a world where there was science everywhere, but many people took science for granted, except for Senku. And now that Senku is bringing science back into this world, people want to support him no matter what. At number 4, I actually went with Makinochi Ippo from Hajime no Ippo. What to say about Ippo? Well, here's a couple of things. He's a scaredy cat. He was never able to defend himself. He was always running, always hiding. And this very same man ascended to be one of Japan's greatest boxers of all time. Ran Miyata out of his own boxing gym. Had people lining up, cheering for Sendo, only for Sendo to get defeated on his home turf. Had more experienced boxers game planning for him. Was sparring with Ricardo Martinez early on in his career. This is who Ippo is. Ippo is pure-hearted. We can mention the fact that he was helping out his family for the longest time, carrying fish, and that actually built up his core strength that he didn't even know he had for the longest time. But this pure-heartedness also carried over into his boxing career, because no matter who he boxed and who he defeated, everybody that he beat respected him. And this built a culture for Kamigawa, this built a culture for everybody, and inspired even Takamura to go against Brian Eagle and defeat him, because he was so hyped up on what Ippo was able to accomplish at such an early stage in his career. If the opponent stopped the Dempsey roll, who cares? We have a new Dempsey roll now. Ippo is always a step ahead. He always pushes through. And unless your name is Saramura, because if you're Saramura, you deserve everything that came to you. But Ippo made the impossible possible, and actually made Hajime no Ippo one of the most motivational anime that I have ever watched in my life. Now, as we go into my top 3, these protagonists are all amazing. They can honestly be interchanged, swapped between spots. It's just that's how close they are for me. At number 3, I went with Yukihira Soma from Food Wars. Soma is a legend. So let me get this straight. You go to one of the most prestigious culinary arts institutions in Japan. You end up at one of the worst rated dormitories. You only have one of the elite 10 seats in there. A lot of people are sleeping on you. You're underrated. Your father was a beast, so you have high expectations that you have to live up to. And Soma took all of this in, knew all of this, and dominated the competition with a smile on his face, because Soma was having fun. Do you not realize that a lot of the protagonists I just listed off had to use anger to get through what they had to get through? Soma was having fun. And this is what makes Soma so amazing, is that he flipped his school upside down and they could not stop him. It did not matter. They rigged all the shokugekis against him. They had rigged judges. He was involved in shokugekis that used meats and products that he was not really familiar with, and he became a student of the game, even to a greater level than he was when he was working underneath his father. Soma was never afraid to ask questions. If he had to improve his spice game, he knew who to talk to. If he had to improve where he was in cooking a meat that he was not really familiar with, he knew who to talk to. When it came to sauces, when it came to cooking seafood, he had everybody he needed in his arsenal, and that's all he did. He made sure that even though he was in a slept-on dormitory, even though he had reduced resources, even though he had people like Nakari Erina looking down on him, testing out his disgusting dishes with the god ton, talking all the crap that she wanted to and everybody was talking, he still proved that he is one of the greatest chefs of all time while he was having fun. And this is what makes Soma amazing, because even though he cooked up all the lab experiments and everyone was talking trash, he was doing that to show people that cooking is supposed to be fun. If you want to be a GOAT, you have to have fun while you're striving for greatness. He was never afraid to take an L, and we've seen this when he challenged the first chair of the Elite 10 to an unofficial Shokugeki. And this had Nakari Erina as the judge, and he had to cook deer, and he was not familiar with how to cook deer. It did not matter. This is what Soma does. He always tries to enhance his game. He doesn't care who's better than him. He doesn't care who laughs at him. He's not worried about anything. He doesn't care what anybody's saying. Soma became such a big problem that Nakari Erina's father had to step in, rigged the game even more against him by implementing the whole central system. And Soma still was not worried about any of that. Soma's unbelievable, man. Honestly, top 3. Coming in at number 2, I went with Monkey D. Luffy, Straw Hat Luffy, the main character of Goat Piece. You guys already know. What else is there to really talk about when it comes to Luffy? Luffy's greatest quality and Mihawk already talked about this, is that people want to support him no matter what, because of the energy, because of the vibe, because of his perseverance, his determination, because of how good-hearted he is. Luffy changes the world around him as he progresses throughout the story of One Piece. You can find flaws in his leadership, but let's take a look at who follows him. Zoro, one of the most powerful swordsmen in the entire world, decides to follow Monkey D. Luffy and wants him to become Pirate King. Sanji, one of the best chefs of all time and one of the top tier fighters, wants to follow Luffy. Robin, the last of Ohara, so powerful, so key to reading poneglyphs. If you want to find the One Piece, if you want to be able to read the poneglyphs, you need Nico Robin on your crew. She doesn't team up with any of the Yonko. She doesn't team up with anybody like that. She decides to follow Straw Hat Luffy. Why is this? Luffy also has a fleet. You wouldn't even really recognize that he has a fleet from watching the show because he just doesn't even want to call on them. He doesn't want to inconvenience anybody. He doesn't want to make anybody feel like he's their leader. He just wants everyone to be free. And this is what's key. Everyone's following Luffy with free will. Everyone wants to follow him. He's not making anybody do anything. And this is why Luffy is a GOAT. His personality is just so magnetic. I mean, listen, it just comes to a point in time where you just have to, if you know who Luffy is, there's some point where you're gonna end up teaming up with him. Like, that's just what it is in One Piece right now. And that's just because his personality is so electrifying, it's so magnetic. Luffy really makes people believe that he's going to accomplish becoming the Pirate King long before he even defeated a Yonko yet. And this is why I have Luffy at number 2. The man has a fleet. The man has one of the best pirate crews of all time. He's at the top of the worst generation, and he never backs down to anybody. He doesn't care. Like I said, I've said this before many times. Luffy's personality is if Goku steps into the One Piece verse, Luffy will challenge him. He does not care who it is. He doesn't care about anything like that. He wants to make sure that he goes to his goal of accomplishing the Pirate King. He wants to make sure that his crewmates accomplish their goals. Luffy embodies the characteristic of a GOAT, just a born prodigy. Now we're at number 1. And this was a hard choice for me because Luffy could have easily been at number 1. But when I think about this protagonist, he really is just goated to me. Just a perfect anime protagonist. I'm going with Ueki Kosuke from The Law of Ueki. If you take the cleverness of a Lelouch and the determination and the willpower of a Luffy, and you fuse them together, this is who you get. Weki had to compete in a competition with talents. His talent was very underrated. And like Asta, like Luffy, like many others, Weki used his talent to turn trash into trees into one of the greatest abilities of all time. But that's not why he's number 1. Weki also infiltrated the enemy competition. There was an elite group called Robert's 10. Weki went in there, joined Robert's 10 to destroy them from the inside. This is how motivated Weki was. Even though he had a trash talent, even though everyone slept on his ability, he was able to overcome that. But this is still not why Weki is number 1. Let me tell y'all something. Weki is just so smart and is on a completely different level than everybody else that he had to go to battle with somebody that has the ability to turn their ideals into reality, and he still found a way to win. And there was little to no plot armor involved in his fights. It was all brains. It was all outsmarting his opponent. It was all using his weaknesses and making them his strengths. Any L that Weki took, he learned from it and got better. He put his life on the line to increase his strength. Literally life or death. If he did not get stronger, he would die. But that's still not why Weki is number 1. Weki is number 1 to me because this competition had a wrench thrown in it. Some of the fighters were heavenly beings, but with heaven, there's also hell. There was demons being thrown into this mix. Nobody knew who from what. But with the god of the Law of Weki universe throwing this competition, they didn't game plan for a demon to be thrown into the mix. This demon was so powerful, it ended up defeating the god of the Law of Weki. Talk about a wrench being thrown into plans. I mean, Weki is somebody that was, he's a school student that's trying to figure it out. Now all of a sudden the god of the show gets clapped by somebody that you thought you defeated. Now you find out there's a demon involved, and Weki decides that, you know what? The god of the show lost. But it's alright. We'll game plan. We'll think of something. Where many people would stop and say, you know what? Whoa, this is way too much for me. This is crazy. This has nothing to do with anything. Weki says, you know what? I'm fighting that demon that defeated the god of the show, that supposedly is more powerful than me. And in this fight, he unlocks a sacred treasure that solely relies on your willpower, your determination, and this even playing field between him and the demon Anon. This is why Weki to me is number one, because it's not even enough to say that the cards were stacked against him. It's not even enough to say that, okay, yeah, Rob, you know, he was smart, he was fighting to the fullest, we get it, all the anime protagonists do that, what makes him different, he's just like every other shonen character. Whatever things you want to say about Weki, the stuff that he dealt with at that time is so outrageous. Weki was pressed for time. He literally had to ask Tenko if he could use his fast pass ability to gain more sacred treasures in a short amount of time, and if he did not accomplish it, he would die. This is what Weki did to fight for others. He put his life on the line even when the god of the show got defeated. This made it seem like there was no hope at all. This made it seem like it was done, and Weki still found a way to persevere. And this is why he's a GOAT to me. He has the cleverness of a Lelouch, and he has the determination and the willpower of a Monkey D. Luffy. These two things make him unstoppable. Now you guys let me know down in the comment section below, man. This was a very tough video to make, but so many people asked me for this in my Discord, in the comments down below, so I wanted to make sure that I took some time with it before I made my list and presented it to you guys. But you guys let me know down in the comment section below which protagonists you agree with, disagree with, who would personally be in your list. And I know there's so many anime protagonists out there that are very close to this. Like Ichigo, Joseph Joestar was another one, Suna was another one. I was thinking about Gon as well. I was thinking about Edward Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. There's so many of them. Spike from Cowboy Bebop. It's just ridiculous. But when I think of these special 10 right here, they just did it for me. But with that, I appreciate you guys for always supporting the channel. We're almost at 100K, and I'll see you next time. Peace.